Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to those that are joining us from out east. My name's John Kelly. I'm here in Vancouver, and I'm pleased to be presenting Here from the Pros with Jared Dreyer as well as Sandra Fisher from Alberta. I'm going to pass it over very quickly to Jared here, but I do want to bring up how successful this program has been for us. And if you see something that you really think that one of your peers would benefit from, we're taping these and we're putting them into the VERICO Academy. So it's not lost after the call. You can always refer somebody over to VERICO Academy, and they can go in and see the entire thing all over again. So please join me in welcoming Jared as well as Sandra Fisher, and Jared will give you an overview of what the topic of discussion is today.
Great. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate that. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to all of you for attending. Sandy, thank you for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. Before we get started on your great conversation and topic today, Sandy, I thought maybe if you could just give a quick little intro about yourself, a bit of background, and of course the current size of your team, so everyone kind of knows where you came from and where you're currently at. That would be
Certainly.
Great.
Sounds good. I'm Sandy with VERICO iMortgage Solutions. So my previous background is 25 years in the banking business, so 15 years with Alberta Treasury Branch and 10 years with TD Canada Trust. And when I joined TD, I was in charge of all those road reps we're competing with on a daily basis now. So built a team with them over 10 years and managed and built that team. And now then decided to leave the green machine and now have an awesome team of 29 people in Alberta.
Excellent. That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you. Today what you're doing is we're going to work on talking about developing referral partners. And what we want to do is you have a great 7-step cycle that you help each one of your team members build out that you're willing to share today, and we really appreciate that. So what we want to do is obviously go down through the 7 steps with you, and maybe we could talk about your first step in the 7 steps. So if everyone's got a pen and paper, so I want to make notes on these right now. And of course, we will put these back up on the web and YouTube and everything for you as well. But number 1, Sandy, is target, you figure. And can you explain that more?
Absolutely, and Jared, just to clarify, this is something that I learned over being in the business, so it's not something that I've come up with. And the reason I thought this would be a really good topic is sometimes it can be really intimidating when you're trying to go and meet a referral source. And if you have a system in place and have steps in place, it's like a roadmap, and it's something that can kind of help you get back on track if you get a little distracted or you get a little discouraged. So, so again, this is not my material. This is material that I've learned over the past, and there's some books and things that I'll, get people to give them tips, and if they want to refer to, that can also help. So yeah, targeting. If you don't know who you want to do business with, your phone's not going to ring. If you sit there and just work from home every day and expect to be successful, that's not going to happen. You really have to have an approach and a systematic approach to your business. So the first step is targeting. So decide who you really want to do business with. And when you decide who that person is, then also determine how much business they do. Are they a high, medium, or low producer? And that'll give you your potential and probability that you'll get business from them. If it's somebody that does very little business and they only do 1 or 2 deals a year, and you're trying to do this approach with them, the likelihood of you getting a piece of business from them, you could get very discouraged when in fact it's because they don't do much business in the first place. So once you've determined the people that you want to target, and I'm going to use realtors in this example in this process because I think a lot of us in the mortgage broker business deal or want to deal with realtors. So it can be any referral source, but I'm going to use realtors in my examples. And then you go and you Google them, you go on Facebook, you go on LinkedIn, you talk to anybody that you know that might know them, and do your homework. This will help you determine maybe what their profile of clients is, if they specialize in an area, or what their market area is.
Okay. So if you're targeting on there, and I know you've got the sort of focus, we're going to have the conversation on realtors, but is there other areas of business that you suggest to your agents to target besides realtors? Absolutely.
You can work with financial planners. You can work with builders. There's many different market segments.
Okay. So you got financial planners, you got builders. Is there any other segments that you'd recommend that they sort of highlight on for them?
I think those are the key. The beautiful thing about those segments is that they're going to be in front of people and they're going to be in a position to be able to refer you.
Introduce you, get the deal going right away.
Absolutely. So if it's a financial planner and they're paying too high of an interest rate and they know that they work with a referral partner that's a mortgage broker and they say you need to talk to this mortgage broker because they can save you money. If it's a builder, they're coming in to buy a property, they obviously need financing. So those are, again, the two keywords are potential and probability. And those market segments have the potential and probability to refer you business. One of the highest.
Immediate reaction, exactly.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Perfect. So your next step that on number 2 on the 7 steps is approach. Can we talk about that?
Absolutely. So this is probably one of the most difficult, right? Because it's like, okay, now I know who I want to deal with. Now how am I going to get in front of them? And the best way is what I call a warm referral. So if you and I know if we try to cold call somebody, they think they're being sold, and the likelihood of us getting in front of them isn't as strong as if I already knew, Jared, you and I know a mutual person, and I can drop that person's name and say, so-and-so asked me to call you, or that person, in fact, made the introduction already, and you're expecting my call. So if you have that warm introduction, it makes that approach that much easier. And one of the suggestions that we talked about at one of my last team meetings is you can even ask for an introduction on LinkedIn. So if you use LinkedIn as a tool, you can ask for an introduction. And again, it makes that initial call warmer. And you can even do, if you don't have any of those to draw off of, you can maybe do a value-added direct mail campaign. One of the fellows, when I was looking to hire him way back when in my TD days, he wanted to work as a mortgage specialist, and because he looked so young and who worked in the branch, I said to him, when you come to me with like 5 referral sources, and I know that you are not afraid to go and pound the pavement, come back and talk to me. And so he did a direct mail campaign where he did some letters to a real estate office, and he put, sort of gift cards in to get people calling him, and he was able to get in front of people and build some relationships.
Fantastic. Is there any rule of thumb that you use, like how many times should you follow up before you're kind of making, getting people upset? Because I know some people when they're cold calling, and definitely that's their biggest fear. They don't want to make the people offended, by contacting them too many times or anything. Is there kind of a rule of thumb that you say to your agents, like you can contact them maybe 2-3 times if there's no response, or 5 times type of nature?
Yeah, absolutely. I think 5 or 6 times. And the worst thing is, and that's what we're trying to avoid at all costs, is to have to do the cold call. I think if you do your homework and kind of find if there's someone that you have in common that can do that warm introduction, that's going to get you that meeting. Because the goal of this step is to get a face-to-face call with that person. So obviously being ignored is probably one of the most difficult objections to overcome. So if we try to really focus on that warm referral and to deal and try, I would say, do your darndest to work with the people that you can get those warm referrals first before you have to go to the cold calling.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. Another concept that I'll just pass on to everyone, which seems it's an older concept, but it's one that people don't use very much, is if you are in a real estate format and you're dealing with the purchaser and, of course, the selling agent on that, I don't think a lot of brokers are actually contacting the listing agent of that.
Both parties,
exactly. Of both parties, exactly. And if you get into a good habit of contacting every listing agent that you're dealing with the selling agent, it's a great intro to spread your name out on top of that.
And if they're really happy with your service, there's your warm referral to get with them face-to-face.
Yeah, absolutely. So number 3 is identify needs.
Yeah, so when you get that person in front of you, this is where a lot of people flounder, and they go, okay, so now what do I do? I've got this meeting with this realtor, and oh my God, what do I do next? And I think what this is having a conversation, and this is where you don't want to feature dump. You don't want to go, I can do this, I can have this, I have this rate, I have this product, because they're going to start thinking about what they have to do next if you do that. The key in this part of the sales cycle is to make sure that you are finding out about their business. But you have to do it in a way that it's not an interrogation. If they don't want to feel like they're being interviewed or, that it's like question after question, it has to be a conversation. And you want them doing most of the talking. You want them to talk about their business, and find out the segments that they deal with. Do they deal with a certain clientele? Is there a language requirement they need? And you're trying to build rapport and find something that you have in common. People like to do business with people that they like. So it's crucial that when you're having this call that you've got some questions in mind. And the whole time you're having this meeting, your realtor or referral source is wondering, what's in it for me? They're always, they're talking about themselves, but that's what the question. So you always want to ask open-ended questions, and you also want to paraphrase. So if they ask you a question and you're not sure how to answer that question, the most important thing is just to say, just so I understand you correctly, or is this what you're asking me, and get more detail. And the reason I say that is many times I would go out with my my people and we'd go on these sales calls together, and having that second person can be really helpful, because while you, that broker, is having that conversation, you have that second person to support, they might be able to determine these underlying needs or to figure out some things that might be helpful down the road, and because you're so busy, stressed of answering all the questions. And oftentimes a question that was asked by the realtor was maybe misunderstood, or they didn't quite get the question. If you always ask clarifying questions to really get to what the bottom is, or to clarify, did you have a problem or did you have a situation, and tell me more about it, and then you can answer it safely, and it gives you time to think.
Perfect. Now, is there you mentioned, of course, the questions. Is there a couple of key questions you could share with the group?
Yeah, you could ask them, what are your current marketing strategies? What areas do you specialize in? Have you run into any situations that you weren't able to get a mortgage approved, and what were the challenges? Do you have someone that you partner with? It's just really finding out, what their goals are for business this year. It's really setting the stage that you're really trying to find out about their business and to be a part of their business.
So if I hear you clearly, basically what you want to do is you're trying to establish the relationship with that referral partner, and what you want to do is find out, obviously, what their problems and successes they've had, and try and figure out how you can fit your business plan and work with them to create more business as a partnership.
Absolutely. And in this call, your whole strategy is to really, exactly what you just said, find out about their business, but you want to position a second call. So in this call, you're not going to the next step is present solutions. You're not going to tell them, well, I can do this, I can do this. It's really an opportunity, because you and I both know someone meets you once, they hand you your business card, and you go, yeah, or you meet someone and you want to get in front, oh, just give me your card, yeah, we'll do business. They're just blowing you off, and they're not going to do business with you. The only way that you're going to get someone convinced to do business, if they've never done it before, is to get in front of them, and the golden rule is 5 to 6 times. So you want this conversation to be really focusing about gathering information. And then after the call, this is where you take those crucial steps. You take 5 or 10 minutes after that call when you've met with them face-to-face, and you take some notes. You don't return your phone calls. You don't look at your texts. You take that 5 minutes and you write down some of the things that were discussed in that call, because we all know how busy we are and how easily we get distracted. And if we go on to the next thing, you're not going to remember all the important points. Okay. So take that 5 minutes. And a couple of things that you can do to stand out also is to have thank you cards with stamps in your vehicle, so that you can whip up a quick little letter, thanks for meeting me today, look forward to our next meeting, drop it in the mail, and it's done, it's there, and how we are, if we have to do it down the road, it doesn't necessarily get done.
That's a great point, and I think for everyone on the phone call, you have to put systems and strategies in place when you're prospecting. That's one of the key things that people don't do. They haphazardly prospect versus putting in systems and strategies and being consistent with your prospecting. That is one of the key factors that helps eliminate the ups and downs in your business plan. Yeah. The next one is present solutions. Yeah, so here's where you get your opportunity to get in front of them again. So you take a look at that call, and again, if you give them all the answers in that first initial meeting, you're not really going to know if they really want to do business with you. If they open up and have a second meeting with you, then you know the first one went well. I know that I ask people when they go on calls, how did it go? Oh, great. Well, what does great mean, right? So, this is where you can say, okay, they mentioned that they belong to a charity. So maybe you can say, okay, if we partner up, I'm going to give $25 to your charity. That's something that was really important or they're very passionate about. Maybe there's someone that does a lot of open houses, and you can say, you know what, I've got some great tools on the VERICO tool site where I can do these listing sheets for you, show how affordable the home is, and maybe I can
either go to you with the open house, and especially if you're expecting large volumes, I can help direct traffic for you, or I can give you these marketing materials to show people how affordable it is. If they do a lot of marketing and maybe they do a lot of newsletters, that's when you can come back and say, we've got, being on the mortgage side, we have access to enormous amounts of economic information that I can pass along that you can incorporate into your newsletters. And they can decide whether or not, you want to be part of that newsletter. If reciprocity is really important. You have to do something to get something. You have to really show that you're really trying to put money in their pocket and add value and make them money before they're going to give you that opportunity to maybe put your name in. So really your whole goal is to really help them with their business and show value propositions of things that you can offer or do for them.
And that's a great point. I think one of the things that, everyone on the call today, you have to understand with all these new mortgage rule changes, especially that have happened, and with the bank reps actually, their rules are being tightened and squeezed, with the RBCs and TD sales forces. This is the time as you as an independent agent has more opportunity to differentiate yourself from the bank reps and the road reps, because you have the options that they don't have the ability to, and you need to go out there and start presenting those options and availability to the other agents so they know the difference between that.
Absolutely. And Jared, one of the best ways to do that is what I call a war story. And what a war story, it's not shooting up, kill people. What a war story is, it's when you use an actual live true story of where you took a negative situation and made it into a positive. And you're using a live actual deal or situation. And when you do that, a realtor might be thinking, well, shoot, I had that exact same situation and I lost that deal. So when you can actually use stories in that presenting solutions and how you've built these partnerships up. And what I also think in this whole, present solution stage, this is where you want to look like you've got some exclusivity and scarcity. You want to make sure that, you're not going to be dealing with everybody. And that's the big thing when you're a new agent. You really want to target the people you want to deal with. You don't want to deal with everybody and anybody. You want to make sure those partnerships are strong and that it really truly is a partnership. And it's really important, you could say, I've got all these packages and these are some of the things, and once we decide we are going to be in partnership, then I'll get them in front of you. And you kind of pull out a package and then you put it back in your briefcase, because people want what they can't have. Mm-hmm. If you just give them everything, then they can go, yeah, maybe I'll deal with them, maybe I won't. But as soon as you kind of use that scarcity tactic, people want more, and they want that next meeting to see what package you have. Okay. And that's a book. Robert Cialdini has a book called Influence, and he uses that scarcity strategy a lot.
Yeah, that's a great book. Number 5, receive client referral.
So you've decided that you do want to partner up and you actually get a deal from that referral source. So that's crucial. We know that this is the crucial point. This is where we can make or break it. So we want to make sure we find out how that referral source wants to be communicated with. Do they like email? Do they like text or phone? I think that's really crucial. We can't assume the way we like to be communicated with, they do. Everybody's different. It's important to keep them informed along the process, and if you run into challenges, it's important to let them know. If you have one insurer, turn it down, people need to know, and that you go on to the next insurer, and that I think we have to celebrate our successes. Even if it's a difficult deal, we let them know it's going to be a challenging deal, so that when you do get that file approved, they've realized how hard you've worked.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. And then number 6 is maintenance.
Yeah, service and maintenance. So again, if you develop a partnership with someone, if in any business plan, you want to make sure that you go back and review. So you have monthly or quarterly meetings to review the relationship in the past deal so that you can find out, was there situations that they would have liked things differently? Is there something that, was there any comments from the clients, whether positive or negative? And really make sure that you're letting them know that, I've got you down, you're my business partner, and, I'm looking to do 10 or 12 deals with you, depending if they're a high, medium, or low referral source, and show that you're tracking their business, and it really is truly part of a business plan.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you made there. If you're, again, putting your systems into place and putting a system of actually tracking the business you're doing with those real estate agents, our financial planners, our builders, and actually sitting down and reviewing them and having lunch with them every, either once a month or once a quarter every 6 weeks, whatever you decide works for your budget and planning. But so many people just fall off the radar with that. As soon as they don't have one deal one quarter from that agent, well, then they don't ever talk to the agent again, or they don't market that.
Exactly. And, things happen in everybody's life, and maybe they aren't busy that month, but they are the next month. And if they really see it as that you really take this seriously and you're tracking and you're monitoring it, that, again, differentiates you. And anybody I know on my team who's extremely successful, they track their business. They know year over year what business they've done, month over month, so they know January of 2012 versus January of 2011. Tracking their business, what they've got in their pipeline, is crucial to being successful.
Absolutely. So we're coming up to our final point here, and you got to receive intro into other referral sources.
Yeah, so this is a sales cycle. So basically, you get, once you have established that relationship and you've got a really strong rapport with that referral source, you obviously want to ask them to introduce you to someone else. And a lot of people get nervous at this point, and some of the feedback I've received is, well, if they feel like they've got this partnership with you, why would they introduce you to someone else? They're going to feel like they're not going to get those deals back from you. They feel like they're sharing you. And, albeit that's a true fear, but I say to people, I'd say to a realtor or referral source, if you can send me 100 deals a year, then, I'll use you exclusively. And we know that's not possible, so in order to make the living that we need to make, we need to do X number of deals, and that's why we have to have so many partners. And they need to know that you're going to have more than one partner. And some of the ways you can get introduced to someone is, if you're going for lunch, you can ask them to bring someone. So we all know realtors and everybody takes vacation, so we find out who's maybe looking after their stuff while they're on vacation, and obviously that's someone that they trust and know and like. So obviously that's someone, because you want to deal with people that are probably similar and have the similar ways of doing business, and the same morals. So it's really important that you ask them for that warm referral to that next referral source, and then you start the steps all over again.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a key thing that I hope everyone picked up on what Sandy just said there, is that one of the things is you want to make sure you're aligned with that referral partner, whether it's the financial planner, the builder, or the realtor. I've seen too many people where you run into problems if you're not aligned with that person and they don't have the same sort of values or the style of business they do or personalities, you're going to run into more problems than it's worth for you. So don't just start dealing with people because even if they're a high-end producer. I've said no to many high-end producers in the day and still do because it's just not to the benefit for me to deal with them. They're not going to work, and I'm going to clash more with them than I am going to have success with them.
Absolutely, Jared. And you have to know that we can choose who we want to deal with. You don't have to deal with everybody and anybody. You're not going to get along with everybody. And to really, that's why that target of the approach is so important. And I just had some other little tips and things to remember. It's always do your homework when you're meeting with someone. Some of us are really good salespeople and are really good talkers, but it's that old saying, fail to plan, plan to fail. Do your homework. There's nothing more embarrassing than you're asking someone about their business and, they're in the top 1% and you have no idea and you're asking them really redundant questions, or they specialize in, a certain neighborhood and you don't know that. So that homework piece and, those simple things, and I think we all do that. And that just shows you that you're doing part of the steps, and just to make sure you always do that, to make sure. And make sure you try to find that commonality even before your meeting, if at all possible. Always remember the with them, what's in it for me. That's what they're always thinking. So always remember that they want to know how you can add value. And you may not know in that call how you can add value, and that's where you can talk to your broker owner and run through the call, and maybe the two of you can come up with how you can add value to their business. Mm-hmm. And make sure you set the correct expectations throughout the process. They're not going to deal with you because you met with them once. That's never going to happen. Like you said, Jared, there's those so many times we have to get in front of someone before they're going to decide that they want to deal with us and that they like us. So you have to set the proper expectation. And just because you have one meeting with them, don't expect you get business. And if you do, great. But have that expectation that you have to get in front of them a couple of times. And, even if it's an email and a thank you card and then you get a couple of meetings, that's going to really make you stand out. And I think the one thing is that we always have to remember is don't feature dump. Don't just be product dumping this, that, and the other thing, because that's not their area of expertise and they may really not be interested. The war stories are way more powerful.
Yeah, and getting to know them as a person. I think that's
Absolutely.
as a person outside. Is there a certain number of partners you think one broker can handle? Because I know some people like to use the old shotgun approach, and I need 100 referral sources on that side. Is there?
Well, I would disagree with that. I would say if you have, and again, it goes to the high, medium, and low producers. I would say if you have 2 or 3 high, maybe 4 or 5 medium, and a couple of low, that just gives you a well-rounded. There's no magic number, but I think you need to have all of them, because if you're only dealing with high producers that do a ton of business, it's very high and stressful, and it just might not be realistic either, because those people have big egos, and they may not like it that you're dealing with another high producer. So I think it's just having a well-rounded number of business. And the other segment that we haven't talked about, but is an important segment, is the direct-to-consumer, because once you have your business developed, you're going to have all of those people that have already used your services, and you're going to be getting business from them too. So my magic number is probably 10.
10 on that side, and then work the client as soon as the client.
Absolutely.
Our other conversations we've had to that part is use those systems to get the client process, right, on that part of it.
Yeah, and you can use your clients to give that warm referral. Maybe there's a realtor you really wanted to get in front of, and one of your clients, it was the realtor that they used, and you can use them for that warm referral. So it's just really putting your head down and thinking, how can I get in front of this person, and who do I know that might know them?
And and that's a key thing is these 7 steps that we've gone through and on the call today. Any of these techniques can be used for your existing clients or your past client base. If you have clients that you think are of an influence for you, you can use these same techniques. It doesn't just have to be for a real estate agent or a financial planner. Use these skills and techniques for your existing client base.
Absolutely, and I just really think that when you've got a roadmap and you've got something in the system in place, and it just can kind of alleviate some of the stress. And don't be shy or nervous to bring your broker owner with you. I think that a lot of them can help, and they may be able to see things that you might not be able to because you're so stressed and you got to take away that little voice that tells you have to shut up that little voice that says you're going to mess up or you're going to say the wrong thing, because you really have to be paying attention to what they're saying. Absolutely. Rather than, what am I going to say next? What am I going to say next?
Okay, perfect. Well, Sandy, I really appreciate that. I appreciate we had a great participation today on the call and everything, and I just want to thank you on behalf of, for myself. I picked up some great things I'm going to take back and use for our team as well, and I hope everyone's really enjoyed that call, and I really appreciate the time and effort you put into this today.
Well, thank you, and I just hope that someone took away something that might help them with their business, and they can always feel free to contact me via email if they have any questions or they want any tips of questions that they might ask a referral partner. So if anybody has needs any more help, I'm happy to do so.
Well, on behalf of VERICO Canada, we say, Jared and Sandy, thank you very, very much. A great 7 steps. We will be, you'll receive an email from Communication in the next few days, so you can review this video again on VERICO Academy, or for that matter, any of the Hear from the Pros. And we encourage you all to take some minutes, some time after these presentations and really digest what's been said and pick the items that you want to implement. The key to all of this is implementing some of these steps. Next week, next Thursday, 10:30, same time, same place, the next VERICO Professional Sales Success series will be on as well. So if you haven't heard about it, we encourage you. It's a Brian Tracy coaching company, and it'll be hosted every other Thursday. And then a month from now, there'll be another Hear from the Pros series, which you'll be hearing about soon. If you're in town for a camp in Vancouver in November, Saturday evening will be our VERICO soiree. And we encourage you guys to come out and have a great event on VERICO and mingle with your other VERICO colleagues and lenders. Hope you all enjoyed that today. It'll all be available on VERICO Academy by Monday at the latest, I would suggest. And have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now, everybody.